What's up, everyone? Hope you're doing great and ready for something a bit meaty. Project Motor Racing has just pushed its first post-launch patch, version 1.5.1. The headline focus here is on AI behavior and a whole bundle of stability and vehicle-level fixes. The developers clearly prioritized reducing those frustrating mid-race AI collisions that a lot of players were reporting after launch. And they made specific improvements to AI lateral awareness and the engine's stall restart logic, so the computer drivers behave more predictably when they get crowded or when they momentarily lose power. That means fewer moments where an otherwise tidy line turns into a surprise tangle because an AI car decides to rejoin or reaccelerate at the worst possible moment. Alongside the AI work, there's a raft of vehicle updates that touch everything from GT3 behavior to LMDH traction control at low speeds, and a handful of cosmetic and physical fixes for several cars. You'll see things like corrected dive planes, added chassis blockers, improved cockpit mirror vibration, brake light repositioning, and other mesh or shadow fixes across a handful of models. The GT3 class in particular appears to have received targeted enhancements, tweaks that should make those cars feel more stable and consistent across different tracks and setups, and LMDH cars got attention for traction control behavior in slow speed situations where balance is especially delicate. These are the types of tweaks that won't always make headlines, but will quietly improve the day-to-day feel of certain cars when you push them hard. Beyond AI and vehicles, the patch contains a fairly exhaustive list of stability and systems fixes. The team added protections in an audio code to avoid rare invalid value crashes, addressed fast math divergence between platforms to improve simulation consistency, fixed memory leaks and null pointer edge cases, and plugged a few rare crashes tied to track presets and lobby handling. For people who were losing settings or getting unexplained disconnects while browsing lobbies or joining social races, those fixes should make multiplayer sessions less fiddly and more reliable. There are also improvements to server performance and handling for version mismatches, which should reduce certain connection failures and the confusing outdated client messages players sometimes encountered. Quality of life and first-time user experience items are tucked in too. The FTUE routine had some soft lock and backspace calibration issues that have been patched, and the assist presets you see when you first boot the game have been adjusted to more reasonable defaults. That will help new players get into a car without immediately spending a half hour in menus tweaking aids just to have a stable race. There are also fixes for setup loading and pit setup problems. An exploit where resets could skip laps has been closed, and career mode softlocks related to running out of money have been addressed, so you shouldn't be left stuck mid-progression. These corrections are the kind of under-the-hood housekeeping that makes the career and progression systems less brittle. From a multiplayer perspective, this patch isn't a sweeping netcode overhaul, but it does make meaningful improvements. Matchmaking callbacks, lobby list bugs, and some Lua errors in social event matchmaking were fixed, and there are protections against legacy avatar data causing sign-in failures. The result should be fewer random failures entering or finishing online events, and fewer crashes when other players disconnect. So while online racers might not find radical gameplay changes here, the overall experience should be smoother and more consistent, especially in community-run lobbies and social races where stability matters. If you play with force feedback hardware or complex setups, note that the team has also been focusing on FFB and physics in earlier updates, and this patch builds on that work by resolving wheel hardware states that sometimes remained active after quitting certain events. There are also specific fixes for how certain track and car presets interact with the physics engine to avoid odd behavior or inconsistent feel between sessions, which is welcome for anyone trying to compare lap times or evaluate setup changes across runs. Community reaction to the update is mixed, but cautiously positive. Many players are relieved to see the AI and stability issues being addressed so quickly after launch, and some report noticeable improvements in AI behavior during short races. Others understandably want more polished and deeper AI racecraft for longer multi-stint events and dynamic conditions, since those are areas that historically require iterative tuning and real-world telemetry to perfect. So expect steady improvements over a series of updates rather than a single instant fix for every complaint. For content creators and viewers who want to understand what to look for in-game, pay attention to a few practical things when you load the patch. Watch AI behavior in traffic at complex corners to see whether blind spot collisions drop off. Try GT3 cars across a couple of different tracks to feel any handling consistency changes. And run a few multiplayer lobbies to see whether joining and finishing social races is more reliable. Also keep an eye on subtle audio stability. The audio protections mentioned in the notes target rare crashes, which can be hard to reproduce, but very disruptive when they happen. So if you've had audio-related crashes, this patch could help. All told, this patch is a significant first step in the post-launch roadmap. It addresses a mix of high-impact player-facing issues and a larger set of stability and engine-level fixes. It isn't the final word on AI or every corner of vehicle balance, but it shows the developers are listening and shipping targeted improvements quickly. If you're recording a session or planning a review, you should definitely load the game after the update and note differences in AI consistency, GT3 feel, and overall session stability, because those are the areas the patch specifically calls out and where most players will notice the biggest change. That's the rundown. The update landed with a hefty list of fixes and is rolling out across platforms, and while it won't fix every complaint overnight, it establishes a clearer path forward for ironing out the tougher bits of AI and simulation fidelity.